Evening, comrades, um, and welcome, Professor Boasa. You've finally been able to join despite the difficulties. I'm glad you are here. And evening, comrades, and welcome to the political school organized by the South African Federation of Trade Unions in conjunction with Rosa Luxemburg Foundation to discuss, of course, the crisis in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. And we have requested Professor Boasa to give that perspective, the historical background, where things stand as it is, and perhaps what is the way forward. He has requested, and we have gladly consented to be given 20 minutes to give the presentation, and then thereafter there will be discussions, of course, um, comments, and so on and so forth. Um, um, Questions, comments, and so on. And then thereafter, he will respond to the questions and perhaps make commentary on some of the comments that comrades would have made in the course of the discussion itself. But before we proceed, before we begin, I would like to give over to the General Secretary of the Federation, Comrades Wedinzima Vavi, just to welcome everyone else, and then thereafter we'll proceed to the business of the day. Comrade, yes?
Thank you very much, Comrade Newton, the SAFTU's digital educator, and as well as the acting spokesperson of the Federation. And thank you very much for being in the forefront of organizing these important political schools that we are hosting together with Rosa Luxemburg, our strategic partner in advancing worker education in our attempt to deliberately stoke up anger and increase the levels of consciousness of the working class to the same level as those of the exploiting class, the capitalist class. And thank you very much, Comrade Jean, for agreeing to join the school today and presenting the crisis unfolding in the DRC. Thank you very much for all of you comrades who have shown interest in wanting to learn more about the crisis in the DRC. And in particular, we recognize the sacrifices you are making to spend your scarce rands and cents and spend them on the data so that you can form part of the schools. And we want to welcome everybody and in the international spirit of solidarity, and we hope that we will learn something today in the school which we will engage with. We have failed to do a link here, and skills just would not come to the party of ensuring that we can we can link this discussion with the Facebook so that more and more SAFTU comrades can download that and in their own spare time continue to watch the political school. We will do so, even if it is just a recorded. We'll share it with the Facebook comrades, and we will share it with other platforms. We've recorded it. And once more, we want to call on the Professor Jean to come to the party and take the platform and make the presentation we have requested him to do. And thank you very much once more, dear Professor, for agreeing to participate and to share the story of the DRC in South Africa. I'm disappointed that only 17 comrades so far have joined, and I'm doing everything that I can to get them to join. But we can't wait for everybody wanting to be late. So we will proceed with you. Now we are recording this. We will share it with everybody thereafter. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much, Comrade. And I would really SEO and presentation by putting a disclaimer. Most people in the Congolese community in the country, they call me professor. And this is mainly cultural because almost everybody is being called professor. I do not hold a PhD title, neither any other title, even if it were honorary, but sometimes it's a cross culture, and I would gladly ask that people call me comrade rather than professor or brother or the survivor of the unjust exploitation of our country, Mama Congo. I have agreed indeed to do this presentation, given that if there's no voice to speak for the voiceless, the marginalized, and those that are exploited in our continent, Africa, and mainly in Mama Congo, please bear with me when people speak about the DRC, Democratic Republic of the Congo. I usually call it Mama Congo. So I will share with you what I have at stake in stores, rather, and try to unpack what has been prevailing in the Congo, not just now, but back then during the slave trade, as well as the so-called Berlin Conference, which was really called the Congo Conference in Berlin, and the colonization, and then maybe try to explore how today we continue to be exploited as it were in 1885 until 1960. So I hope I can share the screen of my presentation. Us disabled attendees screen sharing. So I see there, is there a possibility I may share the presentation?
We will make you the host so that you can have the full right to do the presentation, Professor. Thank you. We insist
Sure,
on
thank you.
using the cultural title, the prof. Okay.
Thank you, Comrade Vavi.
Yeah, you can now.
Okay. I need to go. Okay. Here's my presentation. How do I share? Okay, how do I share the share screen? Share window. Okay. Okay, while I'm doing this, I'm trying to share. Okay, I've just mentioned that this is okay. It's downloading. Okay, humanitarian crisis in Mama Congo, and as I said, we bear in mind that we are talking about Congo that is written with K and not with C, as we usually call it. And this is very important, as I would explore later on. So Congo, and I subtitle it Hell in Paradise. Just to bear with me, it has no name, no identity, and no rights. If you look here, this is a stone, And that will be a question that I will ask every South African on this platform and any African, if anyone is aware about this mineral and where it is being found. Historical background about the Congo. Congo before the arrival of the invader, Congo during the so-called Berlin Conference, Congo, King Leopold II reign, and Congo to Congo, and later from King Leopold II to the colonial missionaries. The exploitation of the Congo, hands that were chopped, the Belgian Congo, and the fake independence. So when we go into the pre-colonial history, it is very important that people remind themselves that there was the Ishango bone, which is believed to be the oldest mathematical artifact in history, which is dated 25 before Jesus Christ. And it was discovered in 1957 in the Lake Edwards in Mama Congo. And the exhibition until today is in the Royal Belgium Institute in the Congo. Our call would be that these artifacts be returned to Mama Congo. But when we speak about the while speaking about the Ishango bone, we can also trace a parallelism with the Lebombo bone that is not as far as Limpopo and Eswatini border. And this tells us that we are one, we are united. And in our unity, it is important that we find solutions for our continent, for our people in the Congo. So this is from the scientific area that we need to understand that as Congolese, as Bantu people, we are all one. So what prevailed for Congo many years ago in the 15th century, they forcefully removed and uprooted Congolese as well as many Africans. But what is interesting for us to know how Congo has been depleted is the fact that 40% of those who went into slavery were removed from Mama Congo. So already the human capital in the Congo were displaced into West Indies, into Guadeloupe and Haiti, and so on and so forth. It is also understood that some of the people that we have in Guadeloupe, for instance, when they speak their languages, such as Kikongo, they can understand what their roots are from. And interestingly enough, the famous boxer, traced his roots back in the Congo. So, das Congo Conferencia ein Berliner. So in 1885, Congolese were picked at the ransom of what was called the Scramble of Africa. 14 families, 14 nations, 14 kings and queens assembled themselves at the Belgium Palace to discuss not about Africa, how they're going to split it, because we know that South Africa belonged to the Dutch, Zimbabwe to the British, and with Brazzaville, Guinea, Mali, all these belong to the French. But the only country that was up for contention was the basin of the Congo. And when they gathered there, which had no name because they called it Terra Nulla, they called it Terra Nulla, or rather incognito, so no name. So in that mention, from November 15, 1885 to the 26th of February, 1885, 150 years ago, it was to discuss how they would all benefit from the Congo, which will bring us up until today, why Congo has not seen its greatness. Because today, although they are not here with their tentacle, but they are using our brothers and sisters as proxy to divide the Congo. As I said this morning in the interview, they left the elephant with clay feet. So again, Congo from 1910 was called Congo, Rwanda, Urundi, and it was one entity because some of the parts of Rwanda and Urundi, which were previously German owned, became part of the Belgian kingdom. And the prime minister at that time here in South Africa, the prime minister was Louis Botha, was for the union. So it is important that to understand these dynamics and the parallelism of that time. And in 1911, Congo and Germany, they settled the score for Morocco and Congo-Brazzaville, because Congo-Brazzaville and Congo-Kinshasa are only separated by what we call the river Congo, which flows from the south up until the north. So how Europe empire curved the map of Africa, this is the way, this is the map of Africa. And clearly we notice that Congo, Mama Congo, is in the center of this continent, this giant continent that is far bigger than the United States, Europe, Asia, China, all mixed within this continent. But until today, we have not taken off to develop this continent. And it is very important that Congo be liberated, because it is being said by Frantz Fanon, one of the greatest thinkers in Africa, that Africa has the shape of a revolver where the trigger is placed in the Congo. It is ironic today that Congo has no army. And why? Because in the 1940s, Congo ensured that during World War II, they participated in the liberation of Ethiopia, called then Abyssinia. So at the Battle of Asosa Sayo Gambela, a soldier called Likili, actually himself captured the Italian army. So this brings us to speak today about the modern historical slavery, which is both cultural, mental, and wealth-wise and material-wise. Why so? Because this is what Congo has brought into the world, rather. During the colonization, we know that King Leopold II used the rubber, so that the rubber becomes the first industrial revolution for the wheels and all this. But during the Second World War, the second revolution was about the uranium, which was discovered into Shinkolobwe, a mining in southern of Katanga. So this is the missing link that helped to end the Second World War. So the missing link, and we understand that this was this mine Chinkolobwe until today belongs to the American. It's a territory that belongs to the Americans and has not yet been seized to the Congolese people. So to understand all this, I would convey and invite my fellow comrades from SAFTU, and again, thanks for inviting us to delve into this modern history, to invite my fellow comrades to search for this book, White Malice, the CIA and the Neocolonialism of Africa, wherein Susan Williams is trying to trace back the exploitation of the Congo, but also, as we see in the corner, how Patrice Emery Lumumba, whom I'm going to talk about later on, was killed, arrested, and dehumanized for international thirst. So what are the driving aspects today? It's the multinational corporation and the mineral resources of the exploitation. If you see here, it's basically a mineral resource, and there you have the drilling machinery that is in the Congo, and they all benefit from the Congo by exploiting but not giving back to the community or to the owner of the land. So, and what was at stake is these men, our hero, the African leader, who said one day that Africans need to rewrite their history and not the history that should be written in Harvard, Harvard, Francisco, or any other university in the world. And these men, the message that was passed across, they said that he wanted all the Caucasian, all the white people to leave Congo. Rather, this is a false accusation of a man who wanted us to live all together. So what are the problems of mining prospect in the Congo? So in the Congo, it is a mining potential, but with a complex landscape. So Mama Congo presents a compelling yet challenging mining investment opportunity. It is said that it is sitting onto 24 trillion in dollars, that is untapped mineral resources in the Congo. So, and the key mineral resources, such as the world's largest cobalt producer, 60% of global output, as the statistics show in 2012. We don't know now because of the war. It is the second largest industrial diamond producer, 21% global production, and high-grade copper reserve, which are exceeding 3%, but more than global average of 0.3 or 0.6. But beyond that, while we are in this 21st century, we must understand that we have more than cobalt, gold. We have coltan, or the treaty, that is today at the core of the disputes and the conflicts in the Congo. Sorry. So from 1885 to this very day, 150 years, we have had perennial conflicts. And those conflicts aims at the wealth of the Congo: cobalt, coltan, uranium, gold, niobium, tungsten, natural resources, water, biomass, forest, and tourism. And sometimes it baffles me that they only speak about minerals, forgetting the natural resources that are in the Congo. 60% of the water that is in the Congo, that is untapped in terms of helping the continent to develop. When we speak about climate change, it is very important that we understand that we hold close to 70% of the biomass that help us to breathe today. Last and not the least, the human resources. As I alluded to earlier on, 40% of the population of the Congo were drawn into slave trade so that it would depopulate. We also tap in that human resources by saying that King Leopold to himself committed the worst genocide, which I have termed for the past 10 years in terms of Congocide rather than genocide, because nobody want to speak about the genocide in the Congo. Then my own term is a Congocide. So in silence, we cry, and in silence, we die, and we are being slaughtered. Slaughtered by who today? We are being slaughtered by our fellow brothers of the eastern side of Africa, namely Rwanda, Uganda, Kenya, and the East African community that have mostly the Tutsi people and Hima that would like normally to create what we call the Hima Tutsi Empire. And in order to end that, to do that, 12 million Congolese have been killed since 1997, which amounts today to almost 7 million Congolese that are internally displaced. We can't calculate how many of us are in exile here, perhaps in South Africa. So what is at stake for me is what needs to be done. First and foremost, I would like today to thank the South African community here for giving us the opportunity in 2003 and 2002 and 2003 to put together the inter-Congolese dialogue. But today, we appeal to the South African community and to the comrades, human rights activists at large in the world to be able, as a social revolutionary, to ensure that we have another dialogue of the Congolese which will call for justice, reparation, peace, and reconciliation. Because the multinationals today, and we can name a few during our debates, are using our brothers to uproot and to distract and destroy the Congolese citizens. As you can see here, these are the 7, 8, 9 million Congolese people that are internally displaced. And there are many more. And some are survivors. So those multinationals are worldwide. We can say that they are in the US, they are in China, they are in Australia, in Canada. We have individuals such as Dan Gettler with Glencore that are also benefiting from the Congo. And those individuals have captured African brothers and sisters to commit the atrocities in the Congo, such as the Monsieur Joseph Kabila, so they call him. I would respect how they call him until further investigation is done. What I would say now, just thank you, Siabulela, and let's beat the drum for the solidarity. I express my gratitude for this opportunity. I hope that I've respected the 20 minutes. Thanks so much.
No, thanks, Com. Thank you very much for that overview. Of course, beginning with the historical unfolding of the Congo, and as we pointed out, the Congo with a K, and not the Congo with a C. But also, I mean, pointing out in passing about the transatlantic slave trade, which stole 40% of the population there, and so on and so forth. So I'm going to open it up, comrades, for comment, questions, so that we can have a lively discussion about the crisis that is unfolding there in the Congo. I mean, as you said, you pointed out, that Fanon says it is a revolver. Africa is in the shape of a revolver, and indeed the trigger is in the Congo. So indeed, if we are to resolve issues, then we have to unjam the trigger, as it were, so that we are able to deal with the crisis that the entire continent of Africa, quite frankly, is confronting. So, comrades, I'll be taking hands for comments and so on and so on. I see Comrade Kapele, you can come through.
No, thank you very much, chairperson of the meeting, of the workshop for political education. My name is Kapele Mtachi. I'm also from Congo, based in Durban here. But mine, I just want to add only two things that my brother a professor by culture, as alluded. Yeah, for me, from class perspective, when you look at what is happening, the crisis that is happening in DRC, one will say that Congo is being bled by imperialism and its local servants. When you look at what is happening in DRC, you'll see foreign-backed rebel groups dominate the east and other part of the country. They create a space for these global corporations to loot our resources, the multinational corporations. While in Kinshasa, we have a comprador elite, a class of politicians and businessmen who serve foreign interests while pretending to represent the people. But mine, what I want to add here, but the greatest tragedy is not only what our enemies are doing to us. It is what we have failed to build, a genuine revolutionary movement with visionary leadership, political clarity, and a mass base rooted in a struggle of workers, peasant, youth, and the women and the women in the country. So for me, from that class perspective line, I think what needs to be done for us as a Congolese, I think number one, we must break the silence and rebuild the revolutionary consciousness from below through political education and consciousness building. We need to build revolutionary cadres. We need to unite the few workers and the poor, the majority of the poor in this struggle. We need also to revive those independent trade unions if they still exist. And we also need to forge a revolutionary front, because when you look at what is happening in DRC, this war has got three dimensions. There is a geostrategic and geopolitics. We have regional dynamics and our own internal dynamic. Today, the war between China and America, who will take over, who will control the heart and the soul of DRC. Those who are doing their jobs are the same countries that Boasa has alluded, Rwanda, Uganda. These are proxies. So these are the agents of the same forces. And then they capitalize on a comprador bourgeoisie class that political and ideological is not grounded. So they exploit the division and they use them so that they can continue to loot our resources. So for me, what is to be done here, we need to build a revolutionary movement rooted in class, Pan-Africanism, and anti-imperialism. This requires not just anger, but organization, not just protest, but political strategies, so that we can build the revolutionary movement, one that can unite workers, peasants, youth, women, and all oppressed people under a banner of liberation, dignity, and sovereignty. Thank you very much, comrade.
Thanks, Comrade Capel. I mean, when you point out that you can't just rely on anger, you remind me of one Amilcar Cabral when he said, "You are not going to defeat imperialism by simply throwing insults at it." So indeed, your intervention is proper, and it grounds this thing from the bottom up, grounded on, of course, on the working class in the Congo itself, and of course to forge unity and indeed solidarity with other African countries. Comrade Shomar, come through.
Yes, comrade, I don't know if I'm audible here.
Yes, you are.
Yes, thank you very much, comrade, all the participants. And let me my sincere thanks to SAFTU, who has given us this opportunity, remembering the crisis that is in Congo, as well as the public, South African public, without forgetting, of course, ordinary South African who are sacrificing their time, their money, and other resources in order to voice out the crisis that is in Congo, be in solidarity with the Congolese people. I will send my sincere thanks to a comrade, a sister, by name of Akila, who is Congo is in her heart. I cannot just speak about Congo without mentioning such individual in this gathering. Thanks so much, sister, comrade Akila, for always being there for Congo. Your time, your sacrifice are invaluable to us, and we will always remember you in this fight for our liberation, for our total liberations as Congolese people. My name is Shomari Karabin. Some of you will call me, or Umar, and I'm representing Congolese people under the banner of Congolese Solidarity Campaign. Our organization is not a political, but a social movement that seeks to educate our people, our Congolese people, so that we can understand where our country is, where it came from, and where the country should go. Yes, we don't have the power to drive the social movement that we need now, but through speaking and through connecting, or through what I call engagement, such of this will bring this awareness, which Comrade Capel and my fellow Congolese, who says people should always be educated, to bring this consciousness. We must not forget, as Professor Boassa said in his intro, that the Congo was destroyed from the beginning, taking 40% of populations, without counting the 12 million that were killed after by the Belgium imperialists, what you call the king of Belgium. 12 million Congolese were killed. When we come to the current situation now, from 1996 to date, we are counting almost 15 million Congolese people has lost their lives, without counting who are killed today or yesterday or last week. This tragedy, it is forgotten. And it is forgotten in a sense that institutions that should stand for the Congolese people are forgotten. Why? Forgotten not because of the Congolese do not exist. It is because there is a plot that Congo should remain as it is, so that other countries benefit from the resources of Congo. Yes, waging war through imperialism, of course, using proxy as Rwanda, Uganda, and other part of Eastern African countries, including some of Central African countries. Why this? Comrade, we are not trying to target certain country or certain people, but the unity of African people will not come if we are not speaking the truth. Our brothers in Africa are used by imperialists for them to gain a certain title, where they feel some of the people will be better than others. And these titles are given not by themselves, but by the imperialists. When the colonial masters came in Africa, they tried to divide the Congolese people. Lumumba, when Lumumba stood to say, let's forge unity for us to drive these people out, they used people like Kasavubu and the rest, having this intention of nationalistic agenda. Bakongo, Baswahili, even the Baswahili, because there is no tribe called the Baswahili, there are tribes that compose many speaking Swahili people. Yet, Lumumba came and said, no, we cannot drive the enemy while we are dividing ourselves into smaller groups. And this was the reason why Lumumba was eliminated, was killed, assassinated, and put into acid so that it cannot be seen. Today, we've never seen the tomb of Lumumba. Of course, they just bring what they call a tooth from Lumumba, which is a golden tooth. We cannot call this a reminder of Lumumba. It is just an artificial tooth of Lumumba, which was taken from Belgium up to Congo, recognizing that they are the one who assassinated Lumumba 50-something years after, despite their denial in the beginning. Now, what do we need? What Congo can offer It is, of course, we need a true leadership in Congo, and that true leadership will not just come as a person come and mushrooming. We understand in South African context, leaders were formed for them to take on the apartheid regime. Congo has suffered the apartheid, maybe perhaps more than worse than here. There was apartheid in Congo, which many people do not mention. Apartheid of race segregation, where Congolese were traded in Europe as human, as animal. If you wanted to go to see a black person, you will go to a zoo and see a Congolese person as a human in the zoos. We saw them. It is history. I'm not writing a history, a new history. So we need political education. We need leadership that understand where we come from, where we are going, and what we can do in order to unite Africa. Of course, Congo will never be as what we call an island on its own. Despite the resources that it has, it needs to share these resources with other countries. We are calling our Rwandan brothers. We are not enemies. It is a political system that is causing us to be enemies. How can we live together? Because Congo will not divide itself, remove itself next to the Rwanda, or next to the Uganda, or next to Burundi and other countries, and be an island country somewhere on its own. We need Rwanda. Rwanda need Congolese. We need Ugandan. Uganda need Congolese. And that will go from north to south in order African can start speaking one language. But what we'll need from you, comrade, is to train Congolese to be politically aware of what is happening in their country, of what we can do in order to formulate or to create leadership in Congo. Not that this leader will just come as bourgeoisie for them to benefit and leave the Congolese people unattended, Congolese people unaware of what is happening in the Congo. I will just give one example and let me end here because I just grabbed a lot of things without sticking on the subject. There is companies that are extracting mineral resources in Congo. In South Kivu alone, the recent report that was released by the premier of the province of South Kivu, it identified 1,600 Chinese illegal mining companies. 1,600 Chinese. A few companies only are registered with the company with the provincial government. It is Twangiza, which is also Kaza Mining, which has sold their stake to another company, and another company that I forgot recently, just now. These Chinese companies do not give back to the communities. In fact, they are destroying infrastructure. They are destroying environment. If you go to Congo today, the Congo that we knew when we left our country in 1996, to the Congo that which is today, you'll find the environment has changed. The trees are all cut off. The river are shifted from removing from here to go past somewhere else. Some of the rivers that the river Kimbi, I know where my uncle, my mother came from. It produces electricity with a force bandera. That river today is all full with the mining exploitation illegal by the Chinese. So these things must be spoken out and bring an awareness to the other African countries so that we can just addressing this. We don't say we cannot do investment. We don't say we don't want investing people to come and invest in Africa. But you must invest with following the regulations of the country. Unfortunately, in Kinshasa, in Congo, most of these mining companies that are coming to South Kivu, for example, they come with a license, a name of a minister, a name of a president, a name of somewhere, a mayor or somewhere in Bukavu to come and extract. And when people ask, you will see a barrel of gun. They point to a gun, asking, who are you to ask us like that? Every Chinese company has got a soldier, a general, who is guiding those to give them the authorization to extract gold in our area. I'm talking about my area, Fizi, particularly because this is a history that is happening. I don't know what is happening in other places, Likasi and others. I don't want to rely on the data of someone who's sitting in the office in America to give us the data. I'm giving the data of the people that we speak with them. They live that experience every day. So Congo is for all. And that's why always I end here. Comrade, you must know Congo is a country in transition. From independence 1960 to date, Congo is still in a transition. That's why there is no government that will come and succeed the other, continue with the very same program that the government has left. Mobutu left, Kabila comes with his own. Kabila left, the so-called other Kabila come with his own. Now it's Tshisekedi with his own. There is no continuity. Policies that are guiding Congo, how a country can be governed. I will lastly say this. There is an unfortunate statement that are made by former President Thabo Mbeki. We have heard him with too much dismay. We have an audience with him so that we can address this matter. We knew President Thabo Mbeki was a person who was trying to bring peace to Congo when he called the Congolese and have a dialogue in South Africa. But his recent remarks, it shows that when he was calling that meeting people to come and discuss to have a political settlement, former President Thabo Mbeki was not a leader in the meeting. He had already had a position on himself. What he spoke about the war in Congo, who triggered the war in Congo, it is a fallacy, untrue, and is a story created, managed in Kigali, and not the Congolese. We know the truth. If people want to speak about apartheid today, don't come and ask a Malawian to tell about what was apartheid in South Africa. You must come to a South African who suffered that for you to understand what was apartheid. So, former President Thabo Mbeki, with the much respect we have for him, but he cannot speak what he doesn't know or trying to distort history for certain benefits. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks, Comrade Omar. Comrades, any other hand in the intervening period while comrades are gathering their thoughts? I'll read a question by Comrade Patrick Bond so that you can note it, Comrade Jen, when you return to address the comments and the questions. He says, comrades, a question about South African corporate interest in the Eastern DRC that may explain the South African National Defense Force deployment. He goes on to say, JSE-listed firms such as Glencore and Anglo-Ashanti facilitated warlordism and exposed by Human Rights Watch in 2005. The CEO of Anglo Gold, Bobby Godsell, publicly apologized. He said mistakes were made in inverted commas. But firms using Congolese minerals, at the time based mainly in Europe and South Africa and later Chinese, profited while the mass killings continued. Other Johannesburg firms, most possessing strong connections to South African ruling party, took on a more visible presence thanks to Tokyo Sexwale, Khulubusi Zuma, Michael Haley, and the late Tito Mboweni, Andrea Brown, the Moseneke family, and Patrice Motsepe. What should be done? So I hope, comrades, you have noted that question by Comrade Bond, which tries to find out, as it were, the South African corporate interests and to what extent those interests explain the deployment of the South African Defense Force in the Eastern DRC. So I hope you have noted that, so that when you come back, you'll address it. Comrades, any other hand? Oh, yes, I see. Okay, let me start with Comrade President of SAICO. I'll come back to you, Comrade Gapel, since you are coming for the second time. Comrade President.
Oh, thank you very much, Chairperson of the session, the Spin Doctor. Thank you very much for the opportunity to engage on the developments that are transpiring in the Great Lakes, particularly in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Yeah, we're very much happy because we've got the people who emanated from Congo, the comrades who are conscientizing us about the DRC, because from the beginning we relied on anecdotes, which means those politics that you just learn or hear from other people. But this today, our anecdotes, we are learning it from the horse mouth, the people from the DRC who are teaching us about the developments in that particular country. So from our side point of view, we just want to check the developments that are happening in that particular country, particularly since January this year, because according to the reports, they are saying since January 2025, almost 7.3 million were displaced in the Eastern DRC. Almost 86,000 flee to the neighboring countries. Majority of them are in Burundi. So, which means is as a result of the escalating violence and wars in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Before January 2025, which means since the beginning of those wars in the early or in the middle of 90s, 95, 96 till today, almost 1 million people were displaced. Again, the research is saying the death toll since the outbreak of the war in the Democratic Republic of Congo, almost 5.3 million were killed in that particular war. So my question I want to check, particularly on the issue of Sun City Agreement, the one that my comrade spoke about earlier on, that was led by the former president, Thabo Mbeki. Because the main purpose of that particular Sun City Agreement was to try to find the sustainable political solution that will end war in the Democratic Republic of Congo. The Sun City Agreement spoke about parties to recommit to establish a restructured, integrated national army to guarantee the security of the population. So the effort to get a national security army, which means someone is disturbing me.
Please, comrade, don't vome khala khala. Please mute, comrade.
Oh, sorry, Chief.
Yeah, I'm saying the effort to get a national army in the Democratic Republic of Congo, that effort till today has failed dismally to materialize, because we are still having a lot of rebels group in that particular country, which showcase that there's no national army that will assist in protecting the population and bring sustainable political solution in that particular country. It's one of the resolutions of Sun City Agreement. Again, spoke about independent electoral commission, although there are elections in the DRC, but according to the UN, those elections are not free and fair. Again, the agreement spoke about the establishing of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, like here in South Africa, whereby we had established a Truth and Reconciliation Commission post-apartheid. So that exercise in line with the resolution of the Sun City Agreement has never materialized. Again, there was a period of Mobutu Sese Seko that was toppled through a coup d'etat by Laurent Kabila. Laurent Kabila, a leader of the Alliance Democratic Forces for the Liberation of Congo, ADFL. So I want to check precisely because Laurent Kabila was assisted by Rwanda, was also assisted by Uganda in order to topple the government of Mobutu Sese Seko. But post the coup d'etat, Laurent Kabila started to reject those particular people who have assisted him in order to topple Mobutu Sese Seko. I remember one of the reports in Laurent Kabila saying, instead of naming the country Democratic Republic of Congo, he said, I can even name this particular country Kabila. Remember, it was known as Zaire during the Mobutu Sese Seko's tenure. But after Mobutu Sese Seko's tenure, it was renamed DRC by Laurent Kabila. During that particular transition to name the country, he said, I can even name it Kabila, while he was telling those people who have assisted him to remove Mobutu Sese Seko. He was later assassinated precisely because he was not working with those particular people. That exercise has led to the unending war in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Even today, people are still fighting. Now there is a return of his son, Joseph Kabila, has returned from exile. Now we're told that he's in the Eastern DRC in order to resolve those particular conflicts in the DRC. My question is, what will be the importance of Joseph Kabila's return to the DRC? Can Joseph Kabila manage to bring peace in the East Democratic Republic of Congo? I want to check that particular thing because I was quite surprised when we were told that Joseph Kabila has returned from exile in order to bring peace to the Eastern DRC. Again, we want to check what's supposed to be the sustainable political solution for DRC. What needs to be done in order to have a united Democratic Republic of Congo? Because now we are lost. That particular war is approaching 30 years. It's almost 30 years of fighting after the collapse of Mobutu Sese Seko's regime. So we want to know what needs to be done actually, because we were not the citizens of Congo. The people of Congo must tell us what needs to be done in order to end that particular war, precisely because we strongly believe that should DRC be united, the rest of the Great Lakes will be united in such a way that we can all benefit from those particular resources. We're told that the water that emanated from the Great Lakes can manage to address the water shortage in the entire African continent. Again, that water from the Great Lakes can assist in electrifying the entire African continent, which means all will benefit should this particular country, Democratic Republic of Congo, can manage to achieve peace as the solution to end war in that particular country. Yeah, thank you very much, Chairperson of the session.
Thank you very much for that extensive intervention, Comrade President, and I hope they have noted your questions. Comrade ZV, and then Comrade Mishak, then Comrade Ebi, and then it will be Comrade Gabele, and then it will be Comrade Shomari, in that order.
Thank you very much, Comrade Masuku, for offering me the platform again to ask questions with the comment. I will obviously put a 4 introduction to my comment and to the questions to the DRC comrades. The first point and the last is the discussion I had personally with the former minister of the DRC, a certain Dio Gracias Bugera, somewhere in May last year, who, of course, gave me his perspectives of what is the nature of the conflict in the DRC and how it links to the entire history of conflict that he traces back to 1967, 69, when there was a massacre in a battle between what he calls between the Tutsi as well as the other factional group of the Hutus. So that's where how far back he traced this thing to me to say there's been always a big battle. And I'm not going to go to that history. Part of it have been covered by Comrade Jean and Comrade Omar, and earlier another comrade from the DRC also spoke on the matter. I want to come to the controversy of what South Africans have been told and have been made to understand from the perspectives that Comrade SAICO President Simon Randani was speaking about the Sun City agreement. What was the Sun City seeking to achieve, and what did it achieve? But this is what we are being told in the main by somebody who we have recognized as one person who, together with Nelson Mandela, played a very important role in facilitating a discussion towards a peaceful settlement of the DRC conflict, which is the former president of South Africa, Thabo Mbeki. And I want to start from there. And this basic point of departure the comrade is making is that part of the current crisis that we have is in twofold. He says, firstly, there are Tutsis who reside in the eastern side of the DRC. And these two Tutsis have always been part of the DRC, and irrespective of the fact that the Tutsi and the language they speak is spoken in Rwanda, in Uganda, and in Kenya, up to Tanzania. But he argues that part of the mistake, and he has said this openly on television and in many speeches they have delivered, that part of the problem today is that the current president, Tshisekedi, does not want to recognize this as a historical fact, that the Tutsis in the eastern part of the DRC have no other home except the DRC, and to mistake them to be part of Ugandans, Rwandans, is what is generating the conflict in the eastern side of the DRC, in that they are looking for a recognition, and therefore implying that they are joining up with M23, and which all of us accept is associated or is receiving assistance militarily and politically from Rwanda and Uganda, is naturally part of their automatic defense of the exclusion of themselves by the DRC government under the leadership of Tshisekedi. So Thabo Mbeki, unless I misunderstand him, point that as the essential problem that only Tshisekedi and the DRC leadership can solve, isolate and solve. So I wanted to hear your perspective about that, because Comrade Omari did raise the point that they have a problem with how Comrade Thabo Mbeki would have positioned the historical perspective around that issue. That's the first point I wanted to raise, and I want to hear what the comrades are going to say to that. The second part is that this comrade would have told me, this former minister, that the part of the problem that must be solved is that there was in the 1994 Tutsi Hutu battle that led to the genocide where over 1 million people were died. That the people who would have committed that genocide of the Tutsis were the Hutus inside the Rwanda, who then, after committing the suicide, the genocide, would have fled into the eastern side of the DRC. So he says, as long as we have not isolated that problem and find a solution to it, there will always be a conflict, because Paul Kagame, admittedly a spy of the American imperialism or an agent of the American imperialism, and will always have a reason to mobilize support for the M23 rebels, because he does that in fear that their right to exist as a nation of the Tutsis is always under threat, as long as the group of Hutus who massacred them in 1994 found refuge in the eastern side of the DRC. So they will be wanting to the logic to follow them and to kill them, so that they don't come back and kill them again as they did in 1994. That's the second theory as to why the conflict just continues to happen and at this day. And of course, the guy who was giving me this briefing admitted that the head of the conglomerates, the multinational corporations, who are playing a key role in the conflict for their narrow interest of profit maximization. He would have also tracked to me the nature of the governments. And Comrade Omar says there was never ever a stability from one government to the next government, from the days when they assassinated Patrice Lumumba to the days that the Americans found a stooge in the form of Mobutu Sese Seko, to the day that Laurent Kabila staged a coup supported by the ANC and the progressive forces, and to the days that he too was killed by his own son. Up to this moment, there's never been a stability. We will hear that. That's a long history. There's an American imperialist hand, there's a Belgian imperialism, there's a British imperialism. There are corporations from all of these countries, including the French, that are very busy. Today they're supporting this faction, tomorrow they're supporting this faction, and this today they're supporting this coup. All of it designed to advance their own interest of creating instability, because through instability they are able to exploit and to steal the resources of the mineral resources of the DRC. But the point is, where is the solution, comrades? Is it in the theory of this comrade I met, this former international relations minister? Is this in what Thabo Mbeki is articulating about the recognition of the Tutsi population in the DRC? Is that where the solution is going to be? I want to hear your comments on this. Thank you.
Thanks, Nopal, for the intervention. Comrade Mish and then Comrade AB.
Greetings, comrades and leadership, and thank you very much, Comrade Chairperson. Mine is not going to be very long. I have listened to one of the previous speakers discussing or mentioning that in DRC there are more than 1,600 Chinese companies, which I think it is not only a problem in DRC, but a problem that we have in Africa as a whole. My question is, since it was mentioned that most of these companies are not registered or are not following the local rules or local laws governing the mining industry, what is going to happen? Because it looks like that is one of a massive challenge that we have. Because when you look into other African countries, China has already put its own foot on the ground. We've got countries where they have got ministers who are Chinese, like you are Zambia. So I just want to check if we are going to manage to come up with solutions to try and fight these communists who are becoming our recent colonialist. Yeah, that is my question. Thank you.
Thanks, Comrade GS. Comrade AB.
Thank you, Comrade Newton. Good evening, comrades. Comrades, I think I just want to respond to what the last speaker said, and I think the reality of the imperialists, because it's not just Chinese imperialism as in the DRC on the continent of Africa, it's imperialism, even our own local homegrown imperialism, such as, for example, a mining conglomerate like Glencore. So for me, it's more about they represent. It doesn't bode well for the nation, working class. So, I mean, I am no expert, but I do believe that we also need to consider to say, yes, Congo and the Great Lakes region is mineral rich, but at what extent? I mean, at what cost? Not just for that region, but for Africa and for the continent as a whole, because of the environmental degradation. So should we then be saying all these mining companies and whatever, they need to comply with the rules? Because we know extractivism is not good for our environment. It's not good, and for the local communities or the mining affected communities, whether it is in South Africa or in the rest of Africa, and we know wherever there is mining and extractivism, they are on the side of exploitation, whether it's the environment and the people. So perhaps there should be another option that we are looking at to say that we must have the right to say no. I mean, do we need to mine all these things? Would it matter, for example, so much if we don't have access to all these minerals and resources, so that we don't have faster phones in terms of, you know, our lives and how we are stuck to the phones? So I think the issue for me is more complex. And also, I think the other aspect that we are not looking at, besides the environment and at what cost for the people and for the legacy that we leave for the ones who comes behind us, I think particularly in conflict-ridden areas, and especially in terms of the section of the DRC, and that is the levels of violence and sexual violence, and how rape is being used as a tool against the people, and what women are subjected to, and what families are subjected to, and the continuous displacement of families and communities and their histories and all those kind of things. So I think really for us is to say our role, if we are calling ourselves internationalists and anti-imperialists and all this kind of thing, it's an alternative to example. For example, we must be able to say that, you know, the young lives, the South African young lives that was lost in the beginning of this year and late last year was really unfortunate, but they were not there as a peacekeeping force, but they were really there to, essentially there to protect the interests of the mining companies of South Africa primarily. That is what they were doing. So it's really not about arming them better and all these kind of things. And really, should we be involved in that thing as South Africa, as a supposed peacekeeping nation, where we are protecting the interests of mining conglomerates and not keeping the different communities within the DRC who's affected by the conflict? But that is not what we were doing there, comrades. So I think there's a lot more. But I mean, I think I also want to express my appreciation, and perhaps we should consider that, all these issues and that we cannot, unfortunately, resolve in one session. So perhaps, because I think there's a lot of, especially for us, that we don't necessarily have always all the information and different perspectives that we need to consider. But I do want to say thank you for this opportunity.
Thanks, Comrade Abida. Comrade Kapele, and then Comrade Shomar. And then we'll bring it back to you, Comrade Jean. It is a lot, but I'm hoping that you are noting. Comrade Kapele?
Thank you very much, comrades. Let me just take a bite, and other comrades, I think they will build on what I'm going to submit. There was a question on the return of Kabila in the eastern part of Congo. Is it going to bring peace? There was a question of what is to be done, issues of Tutsis fighting the new colonial masters, the Chinese. I think for me, comrades, let me answer this question from the historical perspective that was submitted by our Professor Boisade. Quickly, comrades, I take you back into the history. 1960-61, Lumumba has been assassinated. The reason is known by all of us. Double independence. He did not want to be in the office. He wanted to be in the park, controlling the resources, ensuring that his government used the resources of Congo to uplift the life of the millions of the people. But already the Americans, they had an eye, after Belgium, the Americans, they wanted to take over. So there was a political instability from 1961 to 1965. By 65 already, they identify Mobutu as a new leader that will take over. So Mobutu was prepared. And during that particular time, we were in the bipolar world. So Mobutu was used as an agent of CIA to ensure that it destabilizes communist forces, socialist forces in Africa. So there is a book that was written by Professor Kibwe Chamaleng from 1965. When we were still young at school, we used to sing 24th September 1965. It was called the Revolution. They used to give us a public holiday. But on that day, because Americans, the colonial imperialists and the new American imperialist power, so they were fighting between the two, who's going to take the soul and the heart of DRC. So 60-something, there was balkanization. Katanga was taken away by the Belgium. The Americans, they brought it together. South Kasai, I think by Katanga, it was Moise Chombe. South Kasai and the Central Kasai, it was another guy, a pro-Belgium, Kalunj, who was used also to balkanize that part of DRC. Americans, through Mobutu and others, they brought it together. So these two forces, they sat in Brussels in 1965, where they plotted after Mobutu, because they predicted in 1985-89, the Eastern Bloc is going to collapse, and the new leadership after Mobutu. So what these people they did, they sat down, they created 4 political class in DRC, a group of politicians. For them, they vowed, after Mobutu, Congo will never be led by a strong political party or a strong army. So after Mobutu, Congolese will be, those who will be leading in charge of the state power will be a form of a coalition of political parties come together. So there are 4 groupings. The first grouping of politicians, the first coalition in DRC, group of political parties coming together to represent the interest of the Belgian imperialists. And there is another group coming together forming a coalition to represent the interests of Americans, imperialists, and their allies. So these people have realized that in case people they see this manipulation, we play our game through Congolese leaders. When people they become aware, people are going to revolt. They created another third class, another group. They call it the group of traitors, national traitors. When the interest of Belgium, America, and their allies are at risk, people they want to revolt, then they bring this people at the fore. They speak patriotism, they speak Africanism to make sure that they manage the anger of the people. The group that was feared, it was a group that came from Patrice Lumumba, and it was led by another revolutionary, another Marxist-Leninist Congolese called Pierre Mulele. That group was dismantled because in DRC today, it's not easy for you to get the literature for Marx, Pan-Africanism, and all these other. They have distorted the politics. They have disorganized the society. So after Mobutu left power and after the Kabila was assassinated, just to keep the story short, you can see from there up until today, Congo is in that format. The Kabila regime was a coalition. You know, he brought another coalition. The Tshisekedi one, it's another coalition. And the return of Kabila, they are coming to build another coalition. It's a reconfiguration of the national elite, those compradors. You know, they are there pretending that they are representing the interests of the people. That is not true. They are not representing our interests. They are representing their own interest and the interest of the masters that are putting them there. So the return of Kabila in the eastern part of DRC, yes, there will be a reconfiguration of a new political class, but it's just about changing the uniform. If you are wearing blue uniform, now you put a yellow, but these are the same people. So on what is to be done, this is the reason why Comrade Shumari emphasize on the issues of political education, because we have picked up, we have seen the consequences of leaderlessness. Without revolutionary leadership in DRC, we have seen the anger of the people scattered and often misguided because we don't have revolutionary organization. All organizations are in the same WhatsApp group. We have seen, without revolutionary leadership, we have seen the masses are vulnerable to manipulation by populists, even preachers and foreign agents. We have seen a spontaneous uprising easily crushed or co-opted because people, they have no direction. People, they don't have leader. There are no revolutionary organization, you know, to lead these people. And we have also seen the comprador elite continue to rule with impunity while the working class remains divided, demoralized, depoliticized, disorganized, disorientated. And, you know, it's just a class in itself, not a class for itself. So that is on what is to be done, what Comrade Shumari was emphasizing on political education, because we have picked it up, said that no, for us to be assisted by other people, we must be at the forefront. In order for us to be at the forefront, political, ideologically, we must be grounded. We need to understand this thing. You know, how can we organize? How can we mobilize our people? How can we lead the struggle of the people to ensure that we deal not with the symptoms, but also the sickness itself, that has created a lot of sufferings to our people. Today, Congolese people are everywhere. You go to Afghanistan, we are there. You go to Somalia, we are everywhere. Why? Because the material condition is not allowing our people just to be there. So we have realized that, we have run away from home. We are victims of the system, but at the same time, we are a solution. And we believe that with a proper foundation, because whatever is happening in DRC is the vacuum of a proper leadership to guide the masses. On the issues of Tutsis, I think we need to have more workshops, because we don't have that issue. We don't have, and then I will support my statement, because when you go to the Sun City, when you go to the Sun City in 2001, Congo was divided, I think, in 4 territories: the north, the east, and west. So the Sun City, the Congolese, they opted for the unity of the country. Said that no, we don't want our country to be divided, because even our forefathers, they told us Congo will remain one and not divisible. So they decided to say that how can we come together, to keep this unity? As a result of that Sun City consensus, a new constitution was drafted. Remember, our first constitution, the 1964 constitution, was a more parliamentarian system where Lumumba and the Kasavubu, it created a lot of problems, did not work very well. And in 1985, the Zaire constitution, when Mobutu did a reform, it was a more presidential type of system. So as a result, those who were tasked to go and draft a new constitution, they brought these two, the 1964, and the 1985. They put it together and said, we need to come up with a new system, a new political system, which is semi-presidential, a mixture of presidential and parliamentarian system, whereby when you go to our article, chapter 2 and article 10 of citizenship, our Tutsis brothers, they've been included. They've been given a citizenship. In 2005, a referendum, our people voted the referendum. So when someone comes and says that they have a problem of Tutsis, I don't understand what problem. The general of the army, the one who's in charge of the region where we are coming from, almost 6 provinces is in the end of that, general. General Masunzu is a Tutsi. In the government, the minister who's dealing with infrastructure is a Tutsi. We want to school with these people. We school with them. We play together. But I don't see this problem that is being dramatized, because that is why what we are saying, all these things that is happening in DRC, the Tutsi issue, it is a colonial problem. Congo has got 9 borders. When Lumumba was removed, Congo failed to address its own national question. Up until now, our national question is not resolved. And it cannot be resolved with these comprador leaders that we have. The leaders who are there to make deals, not to develop a proper framework where these companies, be it Chinese, be it Americans, that will come to the country, they will have to follow the legislative framework that is there. In DRC today, as Comrade Shomari has alluded, a general of the army, he has mining. The general of army can make a deal with a foreign company. These foreign companies, they have their own rebels movement in the eastern part of DRC. They secure their site, they secure their routes where they export their minerals out of the country. So the issue here, it's not about Tutsis, it's not about what we know that is the agenda. They are used because internally we do not have a proper revolutionary organization to organize our people, to address the national question. Because when you go to the north, where my mother was born, the border of Uganda, the border of Sudan in Kisangani. So we do have the Sudanese who are part of DRC. You'll go to Boma and Mwanda. I've been there during the First War, or when we were part of the Kabila's group. You'll see there is one community. Angola is this side, the Congo is this side. They speak one language, but they are divided by the border. So we do not have leaders like Julius Nyerere. When they were confronted by the same issue, they went to Nyarubanja and developed a Nyarubanja law that brought together all the Tanzanians. When you go to Tanzania, this thing of tribalism is not there. But in DRC, because identity politics has been injected to the so-called politicians that we have, they use that identity politics to further divide the people so that they can continue to accumulate, to loot the resources, to of these multinational corporations that are bleeding our country, that have made millions of leave our country, just to be everywhere around the world. So that is, comrade, a bite that I wanted to submit. Maybe other comrades they will add based on the questions that were asked. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Comrade Capella. I mean, we have dealt with some of the questions that had been posed to Comrade Jean. It was really thorough and comprehensive and very helpful in outlining the very complex dynamics that are obtaining in that vast country. Comrade Chomar?
Yes, comrade, thank you very much. And thank you very much, Comrade Capella, for this extensive explanation for what is happening in Congo. And perhaps the answer that we did not was what is the solutions. And I will try to start with the question of the SNDF deployment in DRC. And what was the benefit? Was it on the benefit of the Congolese, or was there deals of certain deals that triggered the deployment there? I will also raise the issue of M23 and try to elaborate why M23. On the issue of the deployment of SNDF in DRC, of course, Congolese population, because we've got a basis also in Congo, in both South Kivu and North Kivu, Maniema, the people had the hope that the South African government or soldiers that were deployed there, despite they were there since the deployment of United Nations missions in Congo, has been part of that mission. But one thing that I must, before I can go further, comrade, we must not forget that South Africa has been involved in the Congo issue since 1996, when the revolutionary of FDLR, the 1996 war of FDL of Laurent Kabila. South Africa were part of the mercenaries that were sent in Congo. We saw South Africans who were speaking Boer. By that time, we did not know. But we knew them because in 1961 against South Africa, in 1961 when the war broke, in 1964, when the war broke between the MLC, which was the Lumumba, which Laurent Kabila was a part after the assassination of Lumumba, and Comrade Capella has mentioned of Mulele, Pierre Mulele, who was the Minister of Education during Kabila, Lumumba. That war of 1964, after the assassination of Lumumba, when the Congolese started the war, South African government sent troops in Congo to go and fight the NC. So they thought NC of South Africa, while it was the NC of National Army of Congo that time, which was led by Mobutu. So Mobutu come and lied to this white regime and they sent their troops in Congo and start fighting against the rebel. That is now the first episode that South Africa was directly involved in the fight. Number two, it was 1996 when the Kabila came with this grouping of the Tutsi, or the Rwanda, Burundi, and Uganda to start a war, which was only the three countries that we are mentioning. But there was a Somalian, also the Eritrean there was the Ethiopian there, and a few of Tanzanian soldiers in 1996. So South Africa also was part of that. Mercenaries of South African were there. We saw them because we were still there. Not we hear BBC talking. So this time when the South Africa was deployed, remember in 2001, when the Congolese met here, there was this kind of agreement that was made 2001 in order to bring peace. But unfortunately, the peace was not laid on a strong foundation with the truth and reconciliations. Number one, when South Africa in 1994, when they went, in 1993, when South Africa, I can't teach you your history, but when before they could go to an elections to usher in the democracy, people went for a truth and reconciliation. Why was that a commission? So that people can speak the truth. And those who found guilty, some of them, they were in jail. Some of them were given amnesty. But in Congo, it was never like that. If somebody who killed my father, I must come and to sit next to him. Number two, the people who were presenting Congolese people in the Sun City were not a grassroots. They did not come from communities. It was the elite who elected themselves, who selected themselves, and they come and started speaking on the behalf of everybody. That's why when the Sun City ended, it never lasts long. Again, they start fighting. So the deployment of South African Defense Force recently is based on those accords, because there is nothing you can give me free in this world of imperialist, capitalist. You give me one, I have to expect to get 3, 4. I don't want to indulge. This is a South African platform. We have got a lot of information that we know. We know that certain South African politicians have got mining companies in Congo. And that's why when they do, they defend whatever, even someone is wrong, they don't want to speak the wrong of that person, because they've got the mining interest in Congo. And one example I'll give you, how did the Kulubuse Zuma got a mining contract in Congo? It was because his uncle was the president of South Africa. And there are so many that we know that they are there in Congo for their own interest. So South African companies, South African Defense Force was sent there for interest of South African politicians and not of South African people. We are so grateful for South African populations, South African people, for their endless support that they are giving to Congolese people. But politicians, as they destroyed the Congo, they are also destroying South Africa. The issue of M23, and let me respond this one first. The return of Joseph Kabila, is it going to be beneficial? Kabila is not there for peace. Kabila is not there for peace. And we can see in a country like South Africa, for example, we know when President Thabo Mbeki was a president of a country, he only gave one speech of a nation when he resigned. Whatever he does is now lectures. In a small room of 1,000 people, 300 people, that is how he addresses issues, concerns. He can't go on national television and start giving an address to the nation. I don't know which constitution allow a person or a former president to give an address to the nation. An address to the nation is reserved to the president, current president of the country. So what Kabila did was defying the current leadership of Congolese leadership, which is there, which Congolese did not vote. Let's put this very clear. Congolese people in the first term of the election, when in 2018, they did not vote Tshisekedi. He himself, Kabila, admitted that they had a deal. Him and the Tshisekedi had a deal. So Congo is being driven, led by deals. We can't accept your deal to come often when people, they cannot have their say, and we continue with the deals. Kabila and the Tshisekedi had a deal to leave Tshisekedi in power. In a few months, Kabila will return. So this guy did not respect that deal because he was not there for the deals. Kabila now is frustrated. Who did he consult first? Former President Thabo Mbeki, of course, and the other leadership in the Southern Africa. The Obasanjo. We know why Obasanjo is brought into this, because during the negotiations, it is Obasanjo and the former President Thabo Mbeki who forced the acceptance of the so-called the Banyamulenge, who today they are called, President Thabo Mbeki now have changed. He is calling them the Tutsi speaking. They were not Tutsi speaking before. When they were articulating this thing, they said that they are Banyamulenge. So we are asking, where did the Banyamulenge die? They all died. Now they are becoming the Banyamulenge speaking. We lived with the Banyamulenge people. They denied they don't speak Kinyarwanda. First time to hear that the Banyamulenge speak Kinyarwanda is the former President Thabo Mbeki saying it. We knew these people, they say we don't speak Kinyarwanda. We are in the same group, WhatsApp group with them. We exchange. It's not that we are enemies. They tell you we don't speak Kinyarwanda, we speak Kinyamulenge. But because of politics, when they see they are being trapped somewhere, they will twist the story and say, no, we are no longer the Banyamulenge, we are Tutsi speaking. I will come to the point of the Tutsi before I end, I come there. Sun City was a tragedy for the Congolese people. It was never there to bring peace. And if you at Sun City when it started, before it started, as I said, people were brought into Sun City, were just people who knew one another in the one same group, WhatsApp group. They call one another to attend this meeting, to come and have these talks. But the Congolese population were not involved. Now, to abuse the peace, just to keep the unity of Congo, Congolese accepted that Sun City should be taken as a Congolese presentation. I remember the Mai Mai, for example, they were represented by somebody who is late now, Kaliba. The man who was just in the refugee camp in Tanzania, he never been a Mai Mai, never took arm to fight before, but was taken because Kaliba knew Kabila. They knew each other when they were in the Maki with his father, so-called father. So they call him because they knew one another. And who called him is General Sikatende, who has just passed away now in the prisons in Kinshasa recently. It's not even a week, maybe 1 week and few days. He's the one who called Kaliba to come and they represent those people who were fighting there. So they represent those people who were fighting in the DRC. We call them the resistance forces of the people. Those who took the people to defend their families. Why they took the guns to defend their families? I'm coming there. So this Sun City was people were concocted to come and start having a discussion without Congolese people's participation. That's why I said, and we still maintain that Sun City was a tragedy. The problem that ignited all to amplify the problem of the Congo, it was a Sun City. 4 presidents and one former and one president. Who's gonna listen to who? Let me come to the point of the Tutsi and why they started there. I will be a little bit longer because there are point where the M23, NDP, RCD, despite the other people, and the FDLR of the Rwandan resistance force that were driven into Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo. To be honest, we cannot base our history with the fallacy, distorting information, distorting history, creating a new history. It is not going to help Congo people. That's why in South Africa there was a truth and a reconciliation, and not only reconciliation. Reconciliation without speaking the truth, it will never take us anywhere. The idea of creating instability in Congo started since the Belgium, of course. When the Belgium got Lumumba fought so hard with his comrade, and the Congo was about to get independence, the Belgium came to find out that the time they wasted in the West, it was a waste of time, because there it was only timber that they were extracting much, and a few petrol that was given, some part of it, oil that was discovered in Cabinda, which was given to Angola, which Congo does not benefit. It's a very few percentage of oil that the Congo extracts. So when they were doing mineral prospects, they came to find the most of the riches in Congo lies in Eastern Congo, with, we call it Shem de Mitumba. These Mitumba mountains, that is start on the north, go to the south. That is the area where they found there is too much mineral, and they wasted their time in the West. So they proposed Lumumba to say, we will give you a partial independence. What did they mean by partial independence? They meant by giving first those areas that were deemed developed, that Kinshasa, Kisangani, and a part of Kasai. So that side of the West must be given independence. And those in the East must remain colonized until another 80 years. Then Belgium will transfer power to the black government. Lumumba said, no, we don't want balkanization of our country. That is the term balkanization up to date is being sent. That we don't want the balkanization of our country. We want a country united. If you are done in Congo, you can pack your stuff and leave us. We will rebuild or reconstruct our country ourselves. That was the first point that the Belgium did not want to leave Congo. It wasn't because of Katanga, or where they say there was too much mineral found in Katanga. No, it was the mineral found in South Kivu, in this whole part of east of Congo. And today, the reports are saying there are data that are showing that South Kivu alone in Congo has a lot of Congo in the South Kivu has maybe is the first or second province that has more of gold in whole Congo, South Kivu. That is after this the recent research that were made. Now, when Belgium left, of course, Belgium did not want to live just like that. They wanted to live a chaos, like how they live between Bangladesh, Pakistan, and India. The British did not want to leave those countries in peace. They bring partitions. So the Belgium, what they did, they started bringing certain refugees as workers in Congo to come and work in the mining in Somenki, what is called the mining of Kivu in Somenki and other companies. So they will bring the Tutsi and they brought them there. 1884, Congo, when it was partitioned, when Africa was partitioned, of course, there were Tutsi who were found on the side of Congo. No one can deny that there were no Tutsi before, after the 1884. Tutsi were there. Where are they? On the north of Goma, it's called Ruchuru. They call it Banya Ruchuru. They were there. So those are the Congolese. In fact, they become the ministers. Some of them, they become what you call the DGs in the companies during Mobutu. So on the South Kivu, there were this we call the Bahavu people. Havu are the Tutsi who been there, the Bahavu. But there are this group is called the Banyamulenge, which Deogracias Bugera is part of the Banyamulenge. Azarias Rubero is a part of the Banyamulenge. Bizima Nakara is a part of the Banyamulenge. These are not the original Congolese. Let me be honest. These are the refugees of 1959 who came to Congo after the war in Rwanda of 1959 in Rwanda, which they call they used to call the wind of distractions in Rwanda. So it was the end of the leadership of the Tutsi in Rwanda, so that Kayibanda said, we don't want any more monarchy, because you, as a Tutsi who came to Rwanda, you are from Uganda, and Uganda, you come from Somalia. So you came from Somalia, Uganda, now you are in Rwanda and Burundi, and you establish your empire here. We no longer want that empire. So Kayibanda was characterized as a nationalist because he created a party which is only with the name of the Hutu people. So these refugees, they fled Uganda. They fled Rwanda. Some of them went to Uganda. Others they came to Congo, and others they went to Tanzania. Those who went to Uganda was among Paul Kagame today, the President Paul Kagame, Kayumba Nyamwasa, who is an exile here. This other one, Patrick Karegeya, who was killed. These were the Tutsi who ran to Rwanda. Paul Kagame's wife is a group of the Tutsi who came to Burundi. And Azarias Ruberwa, father, I'm not saying him, but his father and the others, there are those who came to, including Azarias Ruberwa, yes, because he was born in 1950 something, who came to Congo. So in Congo, Because of a humanitarian crisis, they were taken to a place called Mulenge. Why? These people are not used to stay in a hot place. They come from a humid place where there is a little bit cold. So they come in a cold place, in a hot place on the next to on the lake shore of Lake Tanganyika is too hot. They couldn't resist. So they took them to Mulenge, which is in Ho Plateau, after the mountain, what is in the mountain, what I call Mitumba, Chende Mitumba. So they were taken there. There they had a treaty, Red Cross, UNHCR, and the local chief of the Babembe, Bavira, and Bafuliru to say these people are the refugee. You must not treat them bad. They are just here. Once they get a political settlement in their country, they will go back. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I have two problems. The first one is that we are losing people really quick. We are hopelessly out of time, way beyond time. But the second one is that the prof himself says he has another presentation elsewhere. Yeah, so my intervention is not to say what you are narrating is unimportant. It's extremely important, but we are out of time. Perhaps it hints at the necessity of organizing another one, because clearly this is a complex matter. It's an intersection of the national question, of imperialism, of the comprado bourgeoisie, and therefore it needs to be disentangled. So I was saying draw to a close, and then we give the prof, we close, and perhaps we'll organize another one to articulate all the issues. Thanks.
No problem, comrade. Thank you very much. Let me just say this. Banyarwanda, the so-called Banyamulenge, are Congolese today. That's why you'll find them in the cabinet. Congo has got 450 tribes, but only one tribe dominates all these tribes. They've got the ministries, they've got the ministers, army of chief, and all those things. So I don't see the importance for them again to go around and claim that they are being marginalized. There's no one is marginalized. If there are people who are marginalized in Congo, whom even myself I will stand for them, are the pygmy of the Congo. Those people, they have no representation in the parliament. They have no even a councillor of their own. So those we can stand and defend for them. But these Tutsi who have got the ministers, who have become a vice president, today to claim that they are being marginalized is very indigenous. Now, what must be done? And that's why, let me conclude this one, comrade. That's why you see there is always, they create this multiple of armed conflict. They started with the RCD. RCD is no longer RCD. They were defending the interests of the Tutsi. They is now CNDP. It's no longer CNDP. It's now M23. Before that, they used to call themselves the Ingotanye when they started in 1996. So why one tribe will have always to resolve to war and war and war and war, while there are multiple of other ethnic groups that are not even represented, but they never take once a gun to fight. It means there is a program, and if we are given a chance to articulate this further, we will say who is the generator or instigator of the so-called Banyamulenge and why they wanted this to continue. It's because they wanted to create, as the Professor Jamboasa said, they wanted to create a nation of themselves, which is called Empire of the Tutsi, Hima Empire. And that will stand in the way because we want Africa to develop, not but a domination of one Africa to another African ethnic. What must be done, comrade? Number one, I said, the solution is simple. To have a truth and reconciliation so that the Congolese can speak the truth among themselves and recognize one another through our diversity. 450 tribes is already a diverse nation, so there is no one who can be left behind. But one tribe cannot be treated as superior to others, which it will never give us a peace. Peace will come if we start treating one another equal. But if we wanted to have some, they have the superiority complex and to be on top of others for them to be recognized. While they are already recognized, but they don't want it to be recognized, they want it to be feel like they are not recognized. We are not going to have peace. We wish Congo can have peace, and we wish people understand the dynamics of Congolese politics, which tribalism, ethnic, is used for certain reason in order to continue to put Congo into trouble. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Comrade Umari. I think Comrade Kapela and Comrade Umari have simplified your job, Prof. Just tie loose ends and then we close it. Thank you very much, Comrade, for the interventions.
Thanks so much, Comrade Masuku, and I would like to express my gratitude to Comrade Shomari and Kapele. As I always say to our brothers and sisters in Africa, first and foremost, with regard to the Congo, as they have alluded to, 450 tribes. That's no joke. And I don't believe that there is a country that has got this amount of tribes. In Africa, we have Nigeria with close to 200 tribes. So if those people were able in 1960 to build what they call the Congolese Front and claim that Lumumba must be released from prison and come and lead the table ronde, the round table. So it means that Congolese have the power in their hands to ensure that peace, stability, and the development to make that country great as it were before colonization is possible. That's my first statement. However, to respond to complete some of the questions that have been asked and to which my brothers have responded so well, I would say as a survivor, and I'm talking here as a survivor of the unjust war in the Congo, Lumumba had his minister, and Patrice Pierre Mulele, who was my great-great-uncle, got almost assassinated by the imperialism of Mobutu. What is important here, and I would speak to Mama Abi, and I'm calling you Mama for a reason. I call Congo Mama. And the rape that has become a weapon of war, it's not only done unto women in the Congo, it's done unto men as well. And it is to dehumanize the humanity and the humans that we are. So it is right to say today that it is important, Mama, that we have countries in Africa that are showing us how to lead our continent. Namely, if we are not mentioning them, Burkina Faso, Niger, and Mali, and have created a federation where we can now say no to imperialism. And it is important that we express our salutation to them and to those leaders. And they are very young. So Solzhenitsyn, a Russian philosopher, says, people are better ruled when they are hungry. And the hunger for the Congolese and for Africans today, it's for knowledge. The hunger for the Congolese and for Africans today is dignity for themselves. No wonder that today, when we are speaking about nationalism and tribes, we are speaking about the statelessness of the Congolese people. There's no other nation in the world that does not have an identity document. In South Africa, you have an identity document, but there's no one who can go to Congo and say, this is my identity document. So perhaps to touch base on the Anna clause of what the president of the SAICO has mentioned, Rendani, comrade, I would say simply, it is because of philophobia, and that's sometimes why I'm called a cultural professor. Philophobia in terms means that philo, love, and phobia, fear, the fear of love. We have all been, as African, been entertained into that sclerosis of feeling the fear to love ourselves And when we don't love ourselves, when Congolese don't love themselves, they are enabled to ignite the dignity of their people. So when we are speaking about Kabila return in the Congo, who is Kabila? Kabila is a rebel, and there's no way he's going to bring peace in the Congo because he is among those who created the chaos in the Congo. And I read the title of his dissertation that he did for his master's here, The Renaissance of the Democratic Republic of the Congo, a narrative, biographical, auto-ethnographic study of 19 years of state building, peace building, and economic recovery. But all this is just ironic because what he built it for himself. And it is important that people go and read the wealth of the president and the enterprises. Some of these multinationals that we are mentioning, we are condemning today, are part of the network and the web that Kabila has created today as a rebel that requires a DNA test to assure that is really linked to Laurent Désiré Kabila, who was a nationalist and who was a director in the cabinet of Patrice Emery Lumumba. So perhaps what is important for us today, and we thank you, this is my vote of thanks, SAFTU and the sponsors for this organization, for this webinar, to say more dialogues and more conversation are important just to ensure that the constitution, which South African taxpayers paid their money between 2002 and 2003, be held in South Africa in Sun City, and that they see the peace prevail in the Congo so that we are able, with the water that we have, with the fauna and the flora, able to bring electricity, to bring the water so that there's no water shortage in the Southern Africa, to bring electricity throughout Africa, should necessitate a dialogue which will include the Congolese people all together, but also Africans, to say, let's protect the heart of the continent so that this heart is able to foster change and sustainable development for all. Congo alone has got 60% of arable land. And I wonder, why do we still have Africans that are dying with hunger? Why do we still have people that are walking in the street of Johannesburg because they do not have a place to stay? Why do we speak about the immigration in South Africa while we could have peace in Congo and build that country and export, and I mean here, make a transfer of skills of the development that is in the South Africa and bring it in the Congo so that tomorrow we all share dignity as citizens of our mother continent, Africa. And this is my call for a march for peace in South Africa, in the world, so that we are able to ensure that the have and the have not can come together to understand that those who have enriched themselves are able to give back what they have stolen to the people of the Congo, to the people of Africa, to rebuild this continent and to rebuild the Congo for a better life for each and every citizen in this world. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Prof. I will immediately hand it over to the National Treasury of the South African Federation of Trade Unions, Comrade Mutsuare, to give a word of thanks in closure. Comrade T, there's a comrade who's unmuted here. Comrade George, please mute.
on votes as well. So it's an absolutely nightmare.
Comrade NT? You are still muted, NT.
I'm sorry, comrade. Good evening, comrades. Comrades, friends, and fellow activists. On behalf of the South African Federation of Trade Union, I extend our heartfelt thanks to everyone who made today's political school a powerful space of learning, solidarity, and political clarity. We particularly appreciate the efforts of the SAFTU political education team and our comrades from the Rosa Luxemburg for organizing this critical engagement. A special word of gratitude goes to our presenter, Comrade Jean Bourassa, an African educator and analyst whose deep insight into the socio-economic and geopolitical crisis in the Democratic Republic of Congo has helped us connecting the dots between mineral extractions, imperialist exploitation, regional instability, and the suffering of the Congolese people. As SAFTU, we reaffirm our position. The crisis in the DRC is not just humanitarian, it is structural and rooted in the global capitalist system. Multinational corporations and foreign armies continue to loot the DRC wealth with devastating consequences of the people. We stand in solidarity with the workers and communists of DRC and demand an end to imperialist interference, profiteering from conflicts and the commodification of African lives. We will continue to raise our voices against war, displacement, gender-based violence, and the neoliberal forces that benefit from chaos and distractions. Let us continue to build a Pan-African working-class solidarity movement that transcends borders and challenges the power that divide and exploit us. Before we close, I am pleased to announce that the next session of the SAFTU Rosa Luxemburg Political School will take place on the 17th June 2025, marking the 49th anniversary of the 1976 student uprising. It will focus on the state of basic education and its implication for the working class children in the context of austerity. Our presenter will be Comrade Mahfouz Rafi, a dedicated researcher at the Equal Education Campaign, who will help us unpack how austerity, underfunding, and inequality in education are betraying the next generation of the working class. We invite all comrades to join us as we link the past to the present and continues with the fight for a better future for our children. Amandla, viva international solidarity, viva. Viva the democratic working class. Viva the 1976 generations, viva. Viva education of liberation, viva. With those words, I thank you all. This meeting is officially closed.
Thank you.
And thank you very much for joining us. Let's reconvene again on the 17th of June. Amandla.
Away two. Amandla.